Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of that Worship Guitar Show. We noticed that we had a different time for today's stream, which was actually going to be next week's time. So welcome if this is the first time joining us, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. Please let us know in the comments where you are tuning in from, and then we are going to be getting right into today's stream shortly. And today is all about the 7 essential techniques for worship guitarists. It's all about mastering the fundamentals and really making sure that you've got those essential elements down. Because when it comes to music and guitar and even just playing worship in general, there's literally 101 or 1,001 things it might seem that you need to focus on, or that you can improve, that you can do when you are studying the guitar. But at the end of the day, there's only a few things that make the difference. If any of you are familiar with the 80-20 principle, it basically states that 80% of your results will be coming from 20% of your efforts, so to speak. And that's why it's important then for us as guitarists, and specifically worship guitarists, to kind of know where are those elements that we need to be focusing on in order to get really great results. Because it's quite possible that you could be spending time learning things, practicing things that's not really relevant to your outcome or whatever it is that you are trying to achieve. So you might be spending time learning, say, the harmonic minor scale and all its modes. While that is certainly something cool to study, you're never going to use that in a modern worship setting. So in that regard, you definitely should not be doing any of that as it relates to what you are doing in your practice time, so that you can make the most of your sessions. So what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to go ahead and grab my iPad shortly. I've got some cool things prepared for us that I'd like for us to go through. But before we do that, let's do a quick guitar cam check and a sound check just to make sure that that's all good. Let me know if you can hear and see the guitar. Then we're going to be going ahead and kicking things right off, and I'll do a quick jam for us in a track over here. Let's check this out. Alright, so if you can hear that and see that, let me know in the comments if all of that is going well. Sometimes it's good just to do a quick check to make sure that everything is working as it should. Now, as we go through today's stream, if you're watching live, feel free to ask any comments and or ask any questions and leave any comments as we go, because I'll make some time to go ahead and answer any of those as we are going to get to those sections. So let me go ahead and cue to the iPad over here, and then let me just show you what I've got. I just need to plug it in real quick. Then we are going to be going over these 7 essential techniques that you need to be spending some time on and really making sure that you are developing that in order to be a well-rounded worship guitarist. So these are going to be the elements that we are going to be focusing on in a second. So I've got a couple of sticky tapes worked in over there, so we can go ahead and just see, okay, great, well, what is it that we are talking about and what is important? Well, like I already alluded to, it's all about mastering the fundamentals. And when you learn how to master the fundamentals, it's really great things that can happen as a result of that, because like I said, you can spend less time practicing, less time working on different things, but you actually be able to get more results from what it is that you are doing. So if you have any guesses to what those 7 essential techniques would be, let me know your best guesses in the comments section over there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and grab my pen over here, and we can go ahead and check out what these 7 things would be. So the first thing is definitely chords. It's very important for you to get your chords dialed in from a worship guitar perspective. Now, what do I mean by that? When it comes to the guitar, I mean, there's many different types of chords that you can be playing. So if we go to the guitar cam over here, I can play things like open chords, right? These are the kind of chords you just learn when you first learn guitar. You can play things like bar chords. All right, bar chords all over the neck. That's also what a lot of people do. Then from there, they might go ahead and they say, okay, cool, well, let's go and learn triads. Whatever the case may be. Some other folks might say, okay, great, you know what? I want to learn some jazzy sounding chords. Instead of just playing a G or a G, I want to learn to play a G major 7th. I want to learn how to play some cool jazzy kind of voicings. Other people that might be coming from a rock background, they might say, you know what, I'm power chords, that's all it's about for me. Whatever the case may be, there's so many different types of chords that you can learn when you are playing, but it's really important for you to focus your time on the right kind of chords as it relates to playing. So what are the right kind of chords? Well, in worship guitar, it's really about playing smaller chords. If you think about a lot of the things in the Bible, it's what people call it the upside down kingdom, right? So the first shall be last, give to receive, all those kind of principles that seem counterintuitive to traditional common sense or wisdom or whatever the case may be, because from the word's perspective, to gather up treasure and to get, it wouldn't make sense to just give in order to sow seed so that you may reap a harvest. But we understand that principle, how it works. So it's very much, a lot of those things are kind of upside down. So one thing that you can take to the guitar is when you are playing with the guitar as the main instrument, then you can go ahead and get your guitar sound to be as big as possible, play big chords, play really big voicings and whatever the case may be. And those are fun. But a thing that I want to draw your attention to, that when it comes to chords, I want you to think about smaller chords rather than bigger chords, right? So what does that mean? I kind of played a little bit of that just now when I played over that track. I played G like this, C like this, E minor like that, and D like that. That's kind of like the opposite. So I'm not playing G, C, E minor, D. I'm not playing these big chords because, first of all, with this big sound, it's not really going to give you the sound that you're looking for. Because you're typically going to play with we're going to get to that in a bit. You're going to play with a dirty sound, lots of delay, reverb. So those big chords don't work well. And then also, if you just play traditional triads like this, for example, G, C, E minor, and D, or G, C, E minor and D, or G, C, E minor, D. Those are fine, and we use triads a lot. But if you use them in a traditional form, they lack a little. So one thing that I like to do is I like to take triads, but I remove that middle note. And then that just gives me a lot more maneuverability. For G, for C, for E minor, and then for D. So go ahead and learn these voicings. Everything that I've just played there, they were literally just 3 2-note voicings that you can use in your playing in order to get really around a lot of things. So what I'm going to do for you right now is I'm going to play some of these voicings, and we're going to go ahead and just look at what you can do with that over a couple of different progressions. And what I want to show you is you don't just have to stick to the same voicings the whole time. For example, if I play G like this, I can also fatten it up by adding another note to those 2 notes that I already got. If I've got C, I could fatten it up. around those two notes. When I have E minor or D, you see you can add additional notes to these voicings. So what you want to do is work in reverse. Instead of playing full big chords, learn these little two-note voicings that I've just shown you, and then see how you can go ahead and start to add some sounds to that. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you shortly. And we've got, I will not 100% sure on how to pronounce your name, but Habaus from Germany, asking about the effects processors at a Kemper Profiler. Yes, I'm playing a Kemper Profiler today, which is right next to me over here. We'll go ahead and talk about some of the tones, which is one of the things that you need to do. So to illustrate point one, let me quickly go ahead and play over a progression, which I'm going to play in different parts of the neck. And then I'm going to take those two-note voicings to smaller voicings, and I'm going to add just one note to it to go ahead and give me a bigger and fatter sound. So let's go ahead and check that out right now. I'm going to cut to the second guitar cam here, and let's do a 1-4-6-5 progression in the key of G. Now add a note. So hopefully you can see that's a very basic example, but it's playing smaller voicings instead of the bigger voicings, and then over time you can start to add to those voicings. And if you want to go ahead and learn more about this, what I would definitely recommend is to go and check out our Worship Guitar Challenge, which you can see at worshipguitarchallenge.com. Just go ahead and visit that at any time, because I go over all of these types of chords, and to show you I can play almost any modern worship song using just 3 two-note chord voicings. So that's all available at worshipguitarchallenge.com. But let's go to the second technique, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But the second technique is chords in and of themselves is obviously very important. That's why we've got it there as chord number 1. But the second thing is rhythm. You want to make sure that you develop your rhythm in a good way, because it's not just what you say, but it's also how you say it, right? So when it comes to developing rhythm, you want to make sure that you are able to play rhythm and you play your chords in a way that sounds cool. Now, I've used a variety of techniques already today just to kind of show you, but whether you play fewer notes or busier parts, you still want to have a rhythm that is in time, it feels good, and it fits well with the track that you are playing over. So let's go ahead, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate some of this for you so we can see what that looks like over the track. But for example, when I say rhythm, it's not just your strumming. It's also the, if you play, it's also your picking. It's whatever you are playing, it needs to happen in some kind of a rhythm. Whether you're playing a lead line, all of that needs to happen in a rhythm that feels good. Check this out. So can you see, even there's something so basic, but there's a rhythm, there's almost a signature behind it. What that means, if you listen to this, a 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and 3, 4, a 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and 3 and a 4 a 1, 2, 3, 4, a 1 E, 2, 3, 4, a 1, 2, 3, 4, a 1 E, 2, 3, 4. That was super basic, but it worked well with the track because where I played and where I left space, the part sounded like it fit well with the rhythmic groove that the drums are playing and what the overall track is doing. So I'll do that for you one more time. So the point to illustrate here, it's not about tricky, complicated rhythms. It's all about playing something that feels good. Check this out. Again, same rhythm. A 1 E, 2, 3. A 1, 2, 3. A 1 E, 2, 3. A 1. A 1 E, 3, 4. A 1. A 1 E, 2, 3, 4. So you can see I leave space for the drums to do their thing. So when there's a kudong happening on the toms or the floor tom and whatever the case may be, it sounds cool. But I can also do something that is busier. So the rhythm is not whether it's busy or not busy, it's whether it fits with what we are doing. Check it out, more of a strumming pattern that we can do here. So you can see whether I'm strumming, whether I'm picking, even whether I'm playing single notes, it's important for your playing and for your rhythm to feel good and to fit with the music. Because, like, let's just take conversation, right? Music is a language. So you need to learn to speak the language, but it's not enough to know what to say. You need to know how to say it. If you are going to communicate to somebody, either you might be saying things, but it doesn't follow a flow or a structure. The other person will not be able to really hear what you are saying, even though you are saying the right words, but you're not saying it in the right way. And when you take simple chords or simple notes, and then you have this approach by adding rhythm to it, then it makes these two things really come alive in a big way, because it's more than just the notes you are playing. So obviously the chords will form the notes. So that is like what you are playing, but then the rhythm is how are you playing that. Those two things are very important. What do you play, and then how do you play it? The chords or the notes, and then the rhythm. Now our next point here is muting. Now muting is very important for a number of reasons, all right? You saw me play octaves a moment ago, where I played something along these lines. That is making use of string muting. I'm only picking two notes. I only want you to hear string 5 and string 3. Or maybe string 4 and 2. But I'm going to play all strings. Can you see how my string muting is really in a place where I'm able to play without worrying that I'm going to hit strings that shouldn't ring? Because if I do a bad job of muting and I'm only playing these, remember we started with playing smaller chords. Now I'm going to use a big rhythm, all right, together with those smaller chords to bring the energy, to bring the feel behind it. If I don't mute, listen to what this is going to sound like. And fair warning, it's not going to sound good, but listen to this. If I play, and I'm going to play with a track, The first time, I'm not going to mute. The second time, I'm going to mute. So check this out. No string muting. Play exactly the same thing with muting. See, it's all cleaned up. And what I just did there is some palm muting, because remember, it's not about what you say, it's how you say it. So if I play single notes like that, it's going to cut through, it's going to be quite bright. I'm on my neck pickup, but my bridge pickup. But if I play palm muted, then I can change the sound of the note. So it's about palm muting, where you rest your palm like a karate chop on your bridge, or string muting, where I can play all 6 strings without worrying about hitting notes that should not be played in that regard. So we've got Jeff Winchester saying, thanks for the guitar lessons. Greetings from Philippines. Great to have you with us, Jeff. Great to have you with us. And that's why today's stream is a little bit earlier. We're alternating in between different weeks, because every week, if we do it at 4 p.m. our time, then it's going to be quite late for the Australians and our friends from the Philippines and all of those places on that part of the world. And we've got Seth saying, tuning in from Durbs, which is Durban, here in South Africa. How's it, Charles and chat? Hey, Seth, great to see you. Awesome to have fellow South Africans joining in for these streams as always. All right, wonderful. So now, what have we covered to date? We've looked at chords. We've looked at rhythm. We've looked at string muting. What is next? Well, let's check it out. It's progressions. Once you know what chords to play, what rhythms you can use to make those chords sound good, muting so you can strum without fear of playing notes that shouldn't ring out, then you want to learn progressions. Now, what does that mean? Well, progressions is, let's go here. Progressions is the following. If I take 1, G, 4, C, E minor 6, 5, D, or 1, 4, C, E minor 6, 5, D, or 1, G, 4, C, 6, E minor, 5, D. That is a progression. It's 1, 4, 6, 5. Listen to this. 1, 4, 6, 5, 1, 4, 6, 5, 1, 4, 6, 5. And that's many songs use that progression, but you also get 4, 1, 5, 6. So that'll be 4, 1, 5, 6, or 4, 1, 5, 6, or 4, 1, 5, 6. Can you see how that's a different progression? I can also do 1, 6, 4, 5. 1, 6, 4, 5. 1, 6, 4, 5. 1, 6, 4, 5. And I can do it in different parts of the neck. When you learn the same chords, going back to our chart here, it's the same chords, it's the same rhythms, it's the same techniques from a muting perspective, but the order of the chords are different. And you must be able to switch between them without any hassles, because in that regard, you can play different progressions. Check, here's a 1, 4, 6, 5 progression. With open chords, 1, 4, 6, and 5. With our smaller voicings, 1, 4, 6, 5. But earlier I said you can also do a 4, 1, 5, 6, which will then be C, G, D, D, E minor. Here's a 4, 1, 5, 6. C, G, D, E minor. Now with the smaller voicings further up the neck. 4, 1, 5, 6, 4, 1, 5. By the way, Waymaker is a song that follows a 4, 1, 5, 6. Also, Hallelujah by Jesus Culture. Now I can take those same chords and I can play a 1, 6, 4, 5. Let's check that out. Here's 1, 1, 6, 4, actually 5, 4. Play the progression wrong again. So G, E minor, D, and C. Now with my smaller voicings, G, E minor, D, C. So can you see that is progressions in action? So it's the same chords, it's the same rhythms, and for the most part, it's the same muting techniques, and those were the same progressions that I used, the same chords but different progressions. So it's very important that you just understand. It's not really, most of the time you're going to play songs, it's not really learning 5 different songs or 3 different songs. It's the same progressions used across so many different songs, and when you learn how to play voicings in that particular progression, that combination, and you can do it in different parts of the guitar neck, then you're off to the races because you are developing a vocabulary. Think about when we are speaking, right? We use the same words over and over to say different things, and that is what you want to get good at when you learn your progressions, because it's the same chords played in different ways. So the fifth thing is all about picking, right? So we've looked at strumming before. Some of my playing, I've also used some of the picking techniques I'm about to show you, but you want to have a variety between strumming and picking. And when it comes to picking, there's 2 types of picking. You get what's known as alternate picking. It's just playing down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's alternate picking, down, up, down, up. So you want to get good at that. Some intros will require you to play something with alternate picking. But then you also want to combine your pick and your fingers. And that is what you can see right there. It's my pick and my fingers. I've got my pick on top here, my fingers can pick the strings. So what's cool about that is the fact that if you are strumming, then you can go ahead and add a note, a drop of the of the hat, so to speak. You can go ahead and change from strumming to picking. But you don't have to get rid of the pick and then just go pure fingerstyle. Pure fingerstyle is definitely cool when you have your pick and your fingers, kind of like a classical fingerstyle approach. But in my opinion, hybrid picking is one of the best things that you can work on, because then you are able to kind of play more like a piano player. Think about piano players. They don't play all the notes at the same time. They break things up with what's known as arpeggios, which is literally a broken chord. And that is what your hybrid picking is for. So it's not just alternate picking with the down, up, down, up, down, up, like I've shown you, but it's also the hybrid picking, which is a combination of your pick and your fingers. Those two things together allow you to just get some more value out of your playing. And let's go ahead and just do a quick demo on that. We'll do that 1-6-5-4 progression. The first time I'm going to strum, and the second time I'm going to use my pick only, and then the third time I'm going to use hybrid picking. Listen to the different things I'm able to achieve with each technique. Strumming. Picking. Hybrid picking. So that's what hybrid picking allows you to do, just able to grab some different notes from your picking, or without having to only pick with the pick or only strum with the pick, but actually it's a hybrid between your pick and your fingers. It also gives you different sounds. Because some notes are being struck with the pick, which has a specific sound, and other notes, in my case, I'm picking with my nails and a little bit of the flesh of my fingers, and therefore I get a different sound for that. So that basically right there is your picking that you want to develop. So let's look at the last two things, which is going to be articulation. Now this is one of those very important things. If we looked at this before, the chords show you what to play. The rhythm is going to show you in what rhythm you're going to use to play those songs. Muting will allow you to not play strings that shouldn't be ringing out. Progression shows you all of the different combinations in which you can combine chords. With picking, you get to choose how the notes are going to sound, whether you strike all the strings at the same time with a pick, whether you pick all the notes at different times with a pick, or whether you combine your pick and fingers. But articulation, this is really the big thing around how you say things, because that allows you to be more expressive on the guitar. And earlier we mentioned the fact that guitar is like, music is a language, and you want to be able to speak that language well. And even for myself, I'm from South Africa, so I've got a very specific accent, I've got a specific way of speaking. It's the same on guitar. You want to emulate the human voice as much as possible. Now, if you listen to singers, they wouldn't sing stuff mechanically. They will have different ways in which they might play a melody. So there's a lot of articulation techniques involved here, and I've used a couple of them now. So for example, hammer-ons, slide, pick, and then vibrato. And you can also do pull-offs. So those are my articulation techniques. I can hammer on to a note, I pick the note, then So if I pick all of my notes, let me give you an example. If I pick, then everything is kind of in your face. But if I use hammer-ons, that second note has a softer, more vocal quality, and I can do hammer-ons in reverse. I can slide up. And I use a lot of vibrato. Vibrato is that rapid variation in pitch. And then you can also bend into notes. Where you literally bend bare steel with your bare hands, so to speak, right? Because your steel strings there. So those articulation techniques allow you to get more of a vocal quality in your playing. So you definitely want to experiment with that in order to see how can you play more vocally. Because I'll go ahead and get rid of all my delays and everything here for a second. If I play that classical piece I did earlier, and I pick all the notes. See, it sounds a little bit, it's a little bit too much in your face. But if I use more hammer-ons and pull-offs, you see something like that. I pick, pull, hammer, pick, pull, pick. You see how that sounds different. Then I'm starting to use a lot more hammer-ons and pull-offs in there to kind of get rid of all the harsh attack on my playing. So that is articulation, hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, bends, and vibrato. And again, if you want to go ahead and learn any of these techniques, the Worship Guitar Challenge is a great place for you to go ahead and start. And I can go ahead and just go and throw this up for you again. We teach these voicings, we teach the rhythms, the techniques, as well as all these articulation things at the Worship Guitar Challenge. It's a 7-day challenge, only $7, with a bunch of training in there for you to go ahead and dive deep into all these things. And then finally, our 7th skill here is your tone. And you've heard me use tone here today. If I take off all the things in my tone for a second, it's going to sound like this. Let's go to my guitar here. So this is, if I add in compression, maybe I go ahead and add in a little bit of drive. I can add in delay. I can add in more delay. And I can add in reverb. Now, my tone it's got a certain sound to it, and as worship guitarists, it's very important for you to strike that balance between drive, compression. So the drive is so that the sound can really cut through the mix. The compression is to tighten up everything to make your soft bits louder, your loud bits softer, to give you a consistent, full sound. Drive lets you cut through the mix. Like I mentioned, you can stack your drives together, and then reverbs and delay kind of gives you that bigger sound. And if you want to do something like adding a octaver, then you can. You know, those are all the different things that you can do with tone. So I want to encourage you to go ahead and check out on our channel. We've got plenty of videos dealing with tone. So those are the 7 essential techniques and concepts that you want to master as a worship guitarist, whether you are a beginner just mastering or getting into the fundamentals, or whether you're an intermediate player kind of getting into mastering all these 7 different things. So if you're watching the replay, feel free to watch from the start. You can see me go over all these things. And like I mentioned, if you want to go ahead and learn more about the kind of chords you need to play, the rhythms, the muting, the progressions, the picking, the alternate picking, the hybrid picking, the articulation techniques, and even how to dial in your tone, all of that is covered in our 7-day Worship Guitar Challenge. So you can go here to worshipguitarchallenge.com and find all of those things right there. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I know that for our earlier stream, we normally have a little bit less people dialing in, but we'll see how that goes if you need to make a tweak and change to that. So if you are watching and you're from Australia or the Philippines or any of the countries in that part of the world, let me know if you want us to keep doing these streams at the earlier times like we are doing today. And if you're watching a replay, also let me know where you're watching from, because we definitely want to go live to give most people the opportunity to watch live so they can ask questions. And then, of course, it's always there as a replay to catch later on as well. And then Varden saying, thank you so much for these videos. You are more than welcome, Varden. Wonderful. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments section there. And then I just want to end off today with a reading of a psalm that I read this morning. And there was a scripture there that really stood out for me, and I think it can really apply to us as guitar players. So let's go ahead and look at that right now. It is Psalm 92, and the psalm is titled, A Song of Praise, a song for the day of worship. And it says here, it's so enjoyable to come before you with uncontainable praises spilling from our hearts. How we love to sing our praises over and over to you, to the matchless God, high and exalted over all. At each and every sunrise, we will be thanking you for your kindness and your love as the sun sets and all through the night. We will keep proclaiming you are so faithful. And here's a scripture that really stood out for me in this particular translation for this particular psalm. It says, melodies of praise will fill the air as every musical instrument joined with every heart overflows with worship. So I'll just read that one more time. Melodies of praise will fill the air as every musical instrument joined with every heart overflows with worship. And that to me is such a beautiful way to say that, because it's not just about awesome music, because we know that awesome music is great, all right? But the music there is, first of all, it's melodies of praise. So the Bible talks about making a joyful noise. It talks about of playing skillfully on our instruments. But whatever we can play on our instruments, those melodies fill the air. But it's not just music in and of itself. It says they're joined with every heart, overflows with worship. And we know how often the Bible talks about guarding your heart, for out of it flows all the issues of life. And it talks about just the importance of having your heart in the right place. So when you go ahead and you consider that, it's not just using our hands to play skillfully and to play awesome things on the guitar, because that's what we focus on today. It's the 7 essential techniques and concepts. It's all about hands. You use your hands to play the chords, the rhythms, everything that we've looked at today, right? But your heart needs to be in the right place. First of all, to know who Jesus really is, and to see him rightly and understand what he has accomplished for us on the cross and what that makes possible. So when we understand the price and the sacrifice that has been made for us, that the only response to that is immense gratitude and a sense of worship and praise to our Creator for paying that price. And then at the second time, or the second part of that, is understanding that it's what we have been created to do. The word says, if we don't praise, the rocks will cry out. So if you think about it, if we don't fulfill that function that we've been, supposed to do there, as the word encourages us to love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul, that is very important for us to let that result into worship and into praise. But we can't do that purely with a hands perspective, which relates to skill. We really need to have the heart of the matter in the right place and space as well, because as your heart, whatever your understanding is of the love of God, of what he's done for us and how we feel towards him, that heart attitude actually can come through your melodies of praise. Because when you have somebody with a heart that's totally devoted to the Lord, that understands his love, his compassion, his loving kindness, his mercies, all those amazing things, when you understand that, when your heart overflows, that's going to be infused in some way, shape, or form with your sound of your instrument, whether you play the drums or the triangle or the guitar or keys, or whether you are singing, whatever the case may be, it's not just the notes that you are playing or that you are singing, but it's the heart behind it that then almost in a way inhabits the praise in that regard, where that is something that is also, in addition to being seen or heard, it's actually felt. So I want to encourage you as a worship guitarist, don't just work on your skills to play skillfully the instrument. You must do that, definitely very important, but make sure that you also carry the heart of worship, that you understand the reason why we do this, and let that overflow into your music and into every single interaction that you have with other worshipers, with your congregation on Sundays, because when your heart is in the right place, the skills that you and the sounds that you produce with your hands will be amplified and really used to glorify God, to minister to the Lord, and to expand and grow his kingdom. So with that, I thought I'd share that with you. If anybody wants to go ahead and read that, that is Psalm 92, verse 3. Melodies of praise will fill the air as every musical instrument joined with every heart overflows with worship. And that is from the Passion Translation. So with that, guys, again, time has flown by. We are a little bit in a time warp over here. So for those watching live, thank you so much for dialing in and joining in with the fun today. And then for those watching a replay, please go ahead, comment replay, and let us know where in the world you are from, so we can go ahead and dial in these time slots to be as beneficial as possible for as most people. And then I hope I see you in the Worship Guitar Challenge. By going to worshipguitarchallenge.com, it will help you, and it will give you tools, resources, and guidance on how to develop these 7 skills that we've spoken about today. All right, guys, much love to you, and then I shall see you next week, which will be the later time slot. Until then, have an awesome week and weekend, and we look forward to connecting with you next week, Friday, and look out on Tuesday. We've got another YouTube video that will be dropping on the channel. We had a lot of fun creating that one for you as well. All right, guys, have a good one, and we'll see you next time.